If you run a service business and your close rate is under 35%, this video is going to change how you run every call starting tomorrow. The first thing that 85% of our one call closes had was all of the decision makers on the call. Now, this might seem obvious. I get that. You have to have a decision maker on the call in order to close somebody, but you'd be surprised how many marketing and sales processes aren't built to have all the decision makers on the call. Most of them are reactive instead of proactive. There's a few ways to do it. I'm going to show you what we do in the sales script and what you can do as well. So in the sales scripts, the second thing that we ask them after we set the frame, quick question before we go further, besides you, who else needs to be comfortable with this if we decide this is the right move? So we're asking them in kind of a non-salesy way, are all the decision makers on the call? And it's nice to say who else needs to be comfortable with this, because this also helps you handle the spouse or like life partner objection, which happens a lot. And as you can see down here, if we have all the decision makers on the call, that's actually going to show one sales script. And if we don't have all the decision makers on the call, it's actually going to show another sales script known as the champion sales script. And this is how we get this person who's on the call, the sales manager, the marketing manager, a partner, enough assets and information that they can then take this to their decision maker and then bring us all on a call together. Now, another great proactive way to get all the decision makers on the call is going to be in your marketing process. In your application, you can say, especially if you have an offer where it's typical that only one of the decision makers is on the call. I'll give you a great example. We have a lot of clients who are like helping students either get into college sports, get into colleges, get into med school, get into law school, et cetera, et cetera. That's actually a really hot offer right now. And what we do is we make it clear in the application process, hey, we need both the parents and the students on this call, and they can't book the call unless they confirm that everybody's going to show up. And then on the call, we have this decision maker check because we write these scripts for our clients, and we make sure that everybody's on there. The second thing that 85% of our one call closes had in common was an accurate diagnostic of their constraint, or accurately identifying what their real problem is. AKA, we are able to show specific numbers. You need to make sure that before you say this is the right thing for you, you're collecting as much specific data as you can do. So I'm going to show you what the inverse of this looks like. And this is what I see a lot of our clients doing when they first work with us, or when I get on calls with other people. Typically it's something like, hey, how are you doing, Ravi? I'm doing well, great. They do a little bit of intro, and then they say, okay, so where are you at in your business? And I say the number, and they say, okay, great, where do you want to be? And I say the number, and they say, what do you think is the biggest thing preventing you from there? And I say, this is the biggest thing. And they say, great, we can help you with that. Can I walk through what it is? And here I am thinking, okay, I'm a pretty savvy business person. I've been doing this for a relatively long period of time. And so if I can't figure out what my constraint is after banging my head against the wall for, let's say, weeks or months at a time, you're going to be able to do it by just listening to just like 3 words that I just said. It's going to make me not believe in whatever they say next in that prescription. So it's really important that you collect enough numbers, not only just so that the person feels like the diagnostic that you're going to give them is accurate, but also so that you can actually give an accurate diagnostic. And so this is just out of our sales script. So how do we do this every single time? I literally wrote down all the numbers that we typically need to generate. So what's their current monthly revenue, lifetime value of a client, what lead channels are doing, close rates, show rates, how long they've been at the current revenue level, et cetera, et cetera. Number 3, the cost of an action. And this was actually something I didn't even realize was part of so many one-call closes until I analyzed the data. Because I was kind of doing this, and my sales team was kind of doing this every once in a while if the conversation organically went this way. And I personally had always felt a little cheesy asking these questions. But the truth is, in order to have the prospect in enough pain, which by the way, that was clear on every single one of the closes, these people were saying like, I desperately need this thing to fix. Remember, these are all one call closes. Doesn't mean that every close we've ever done, but people who are literally going to get on that first call and pay, they have to be in a serious amount of pain. And it's helpful if they come on the call in a lot of pain, but what you can also do is uncover this pain. And that's what this cost of an action does. So we say one last thing before I pull this together. So this is right after I start collecting the numbers. I say, if we just roll this forward 90 days and you're still roughly at this current monthly recurring revenue and dealing with the same bottleneck, what changes for you? What gets harder or stays off the table? And I'm not afraid to go deeper on some of the stuff. So they might say, well, I'm at the same revenue level and I'm upset at myself. Well, what do you mean you're upset at yourself? Well, I've been doing this for 3 years and I can't seem to get above this revenue level, and I feel like I should quit and go do another job if I can't get this done, right? And now I'm getting to like some of their ego stuff. Like, what would it feel like to you for all your friends and family to know that you were quitting and going over to another job, that this thing had failed, right? So I'm kind of really trying to pull out this pain point. And the fourth key element we identified in 85% of our one call closes is something that we call conservative upside math. So for us, what does this upside math actually look like? Well, we say quick math, so this isn't abstract. Your average client is worth blank in lifetime value. Now, this is something that populates from the lifetime value section that we had a little bit earlier. And I say, if the system just adds one more client a month over the next 12 months, then you're going to get this much more money, conservatively speaking. So let's say, for example, their lifetime value is $10,000 a month. Well, if they want to work with us and we're able to just do out of the 5 or 6 things we're going to do in the first 30 days, if just one thing gets one more client a month, you're going to have $120,000 in additional revenue at the end of the year. So this way, when I come to drop the price, they can see that return on investment instead of me never mentioning this and maybe like I think it's obvious, but the prospect isn't really doing that math in their head. Then when I drop the price later on, now they're going back and starting to do the math in their head on whether it's worth it or not. And instead, I want to do the math for them. What we saw in 85% of our one call closes was not just that we ran the upside math and that we talked about the cost of an action, but right before we dropped the price, we ran it one more time. And so what I found that works very well is right before I'm about to drop the price, I run the upside math one more time, just to ground it in numbers. By the way, if we just get you one more client in the next 12 months, it'll be an additional $120,000 in revenue. And earlier you said that if nothing changed over the next 90 days, that you're still going to be dealing with this big problem here. This 30-day sprint is going to change that considerably. And the investment is going to be X. And what I love since we implemented this is when I go through this pitch and we get to the very end and I say the investment was going to be X, people are literally like, oh my God, I thought you were going to say $30,000. And the number I say is a fraction of that. And people are like, oh, wow, that's like the lady I closed on Saturday said like, that's unbelievably reasonable. And she closed, you know what I mean? One call close. If you want my help installing any of these systems in your business done for you, be sure to book a call with my team down below.